or a promise, you uphold that promise. You uphold that bargain, right? You know, you told her, okay, one thing, don't do the opposite. You know, we had many men who do that, where they say, oh yeah, I'll look after you, you know, but then I'll kill everybody else. But then it's like, yeah, thanks for letting us in. I'm gonna kill you too. So when we carried out the laws of war, we held to our word. We held to agreements that we made. Read on.
23. And the young man that was spies went in and brought out Rahab and her father and her brother and her father and her mother and her brethren and all that she had, and they brought out all her kindred and left them without the camp of Israel.
Right, so they got her and her family and brought them outside. Read on.
And they burnt the city with fire, and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold, and a vessel of brass and of iron, they put into the treasury of the house of the Lord. Verse 25. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, and all that she had. And she dwelleth in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent to spy out Jericho.
Right. Just like that old proverb says, you know, he that friends will show himself friendly, right? So these heathens were friends to us in this case. Why? Because they helped us out, right? So we rewarded kindness for kindness. It's only fair. Read on in 26.
And Joshua adjured them at that time, saying, Cursed be the man before the Lord that riseth up and buildeth the city Jericho. He shall lay the foundation thereof, and his firstborn, and his youngest son shall he set up the gate of it. So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame was noised throughout all the country.
Right. So it was a big battle, and quite a miraculous thing that took place. So word got out. So the rest of the Canaanite kings were saying, "Oh man, you know, sweating beads, saying, yo, their God is with them." You know how they took this place down? They marched around the place 7 times. They just yelled with trumpets, and the wall came down. I never seen anything like that. You know. In today's time, Esau will try to explain away and go, "Oh yeah, you know, they had some sort of sonic device or this, that." But it's ancient times now. You can't explain that, right? Only through spiritual power is that able to happen. Through the Spirit of the Most High, where the wall is able to come down. You see? So this is a miraculous event taking place. This wouldn't be the only miraculous event that would happen during the time of Joshua's command, as you read on in the story of Joshua. But just an interesting story to read, to get acquainted with, as it pertains to what? The trumpets and the use of the trumpets as we did battle with this city. You can just write this down. You can just write down the scripture to go with this as far as the cursed thing. Deuteronomy, the 13th chapter, verses 12 down to 18. Deuteronomy 13, verses 12 to 18.
You said that's going to link up with
Joshua 6.
Huh?
Joshua chapter 6.
Yeah, it's going. Yeah, no, Joshua 6. But you said that link up is like the curse of someone trying to build Jericho.
It's dealing with how they destroyed Jericho and why they kept the sword, but then destroyed everything else, and why they didn't take, and why Joshua mentioned don't take of the thing that's accursed, because it's in the law.
Okay, got you.
I'll read it briefly.
No, it's all good.
No, I'm going to read it though. This is Deuteronomy 13 and verse 12. It says, this is the law that we could refer back to as far as what Joshua was following. Right? I'll read this. I'll read it swiftly. Just so you have an understanding behind what he was doing and why he was doing it, and the order in which he was doing it. See, when it came to warfare, there were rules and guidelines we had to follow when it came to waging war against a city or against a countryside or against a nation and what have you. As you read on in Deuteronomy, especially the 21st chapter, it goes into more detail behind that as far as the rules for war. Not Deuteronomy 21, I'm sorry. Deuteronomy chapter 20 goes into a lot of that. This is Deuteronomy 13 and verse 12. It says, "If thou shalt hear say in one of thy cities which Yahweh thy power hath given thee to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial," right? That children of Belial is the title, just means wicked men, "are gone out from among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their cities, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which ye have not known. Then shalt thou inquire and make search, and ask diligently, and behold, if it be truth, and a thing certain, that such abomination is wrought among you." So make sure, don't just go off of hearsay, right? Do the research, do investigation, right? Check out the quote-unquote seat of the crime to make sure, okay, what indeed went down here went down. Right? So this is all part of us executing proper judgment. Verse 15, "Thou shalt surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof, with the edge of the sword." Right? So the same thing that was done as we read. "And thou shalt gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shalt burn with fire the city, and all the spoil thereof every whit, for Yahweh thy power, and it shall be in heat forever. It shall not be built again." You see that? It's going into how they overthrew Jericho, how they were instructed by the Most High to what? Not build that city again, where they had the idolatry going down. Verse 17, "And there shall cleave naught of the cursed thing to thy hand, that the Lord may turn from the fierceness of his anger, and show thee mercy, and have compassion upon thee, and multiply thee, as he hath sworn unto thy fathers." So that cursed thing is going to what? Anything that you have is a devotion, right? Anything you use for devotion, whether it be a target, or an icon, or a statue, or a logo, what have you, anything you would have. And you've probably seen this in history where, whether it was the Romans or the Greeks, they would have little idols set up. They would do their little prayers, and they would have some sort of symbol or emblem, an image, or they would have they call them teraphim, right? Idols made of the earth, terra, right? And they would bow down to these idols and do different rites and burn incense and things like that. So Most High said, that's a cursed thing. Don't mess with that. Just deal with me. You'll be good.
Like in the old movie, Gladiator.
Yeah. I was thinking about that, right? Maximus's character, played by Russell Crowe. You see him after he found out he came home and saw it was his wife and his son. They were hanging at the entrance. And you see him he started doing prayers, and crying. You see it was kind of messy, but yeah, praying to those idols. So we see this in today's times where you go to, you may go to you might be working, you go past a person's cube at their job. You see that maybe like a calendar, or have little figurines, on their desk, of different idols, or they may have what is it? You go there, you can get in their car or something, go on lunch break, or you look in their car and they have a little idol hanging from the rearview mirror. Either it could be a cross, a rosary, a Buddha statue, a little emblem, or maybe something on the dashboard. All these things are just pretty much just variations of the same thing. Cursed idols that the heathen deal with today as they did back then. They may call them, religions, right? But they're still dealing with idolatry. When you look into the roots and the sources behind the practices that they do, and they call upon idols and spirits behind, or devils behind those idols, which aren't the Most High. So they're still corrupt. I remember that time we were at camp, we read that scripture. It was a heathen lady. Remember that heathen lady was there on the right side? And she was talking about, oh, it's that and the third. My people do this, this, that. And we read the verse in Psalms 96 where it says, "For the gods of the nations are idols, but the Lord made the heavens." She was asking, what about everybody? And when we brought that out, we're like, see, because your people deal with idols. And she was like, right, we do, yeah. I was like, because you don't. I was like, we were like, you don't deal with our God. She's like, right, we don't. We deal with our idols. So it's kind of funny. We're asking these questions about, why isn't all inclusive based on a false religion? But then we read a scripture about her and people like her dealing with idols. She was like, yeah, she acknowledged it. So it's just like, what are you talking about? But we know the scriptures are talking about the truth. So yeah, that's. Am I done here? Yeah, I finished here. So that's Deuteronomy 13, 12 to 18. So now, from here, let's go to... There's a couple of things I want to read, but we probably won't be able to read everything. But let's go from here. Let's go to Exodus chapter 19. Exodus chapter 19. And start from verse 1, and then Yasharahla can read that. And we're going to go through this chapter swiftly too, as it pertains to the trumpets.
Word.
Oh, Exodus chapter 19. This is a very important chapter, because what this chapter reveals to us is what? The evidence of the contract or the covenant that we're in, or the testament that we're in with the Most High as a people. And how it can't be broken, because why we agreed to what? Uphold this charge, as we're going to read in this chapter. So you can read that. So no matter what you want to call yourself, if you're descendants of blacks, West Indians, Haitians, Native Americans, and Hispanics, or descendants of so-called Negroes from North Central South America and the Caribbean, or descendants of Indians from North Central South America and the Caribbean, doesn't matter that this was years ago, it's 2011. We're still under this agreement with the Most High. So wherever we go, if we're not keeping the charge, following the commandments of God, we're still going to be under the curse from God, right? As a people. You know, you may have a handful of us maybe do a little bit well, but as a people, we'll suffer and won't be able to beat it. You know, no money, no career, no nothing will be able to shake off this curse that the Most High said will be upon our ancestors, even to this very day. So we're going to read this here.
Ready? Exodus chapter 19 verse 1. In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were going forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim. Well, oh, I pronounced that right?
Just keep going. I'll stop you if you don't.
Word. And we're come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount.
Right. So it's going into the time period shortly after, not too long after we had crossed over the Red Sea and had our first warfare with Amalek. But it says that what we left Rephidim, and now we're going into Sinai, and we're camping before the mount that's in Sinai. Read on.
And Moses went up into God, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself.
Right. You see that there? So he's saying, you're going to tell them this, that I'm the one who delivered you from the Egyptians. Right? Using the metaphor, I buried you on eagle's wings, and I brought you into myself. So I delivered you. Read on.
Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
See that? So now, if you uphold my covenant, my agreement, I want to make you a peculiar treasure. Right? Above all people. So a key verse to use to show what? God didn't make everybody equal, right? He made the nations, but then he made Israel to be what? His peculiar treasure, right? He says, for all the earth is mine, right? So the earth, the people in it, I do with it what I will. And it's my choice to make you my people. Read on to verse 6. Verse 6 is key.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests.
That's what we were talking about earlier. See that?
Word. True that. True that. And holy nation. Holy means saint. Holy nation. That's like holy saints. That's like Deuteronomy 7:6 too. These are the words which thou